Welcome back to another episode here from Granja Caimito in the Pedroche Valley of Andalusia, Spain. We are looking north from the Altiplano towards a mountainous area called La Garganta. This is a hunting area. In the last video, we were up here at the temporary paddock CT9, and I was showing you the cow 5510, who was about to give birth, but eventually I had to call for help because the calving process was not going very well. So now I show you the continuation. Most cows are able to calve on their own, there is no problem. But when it is the first time, and some other circumstances, then they need help. And we happily provide that help as much as we can. Why not? We learned the hard way a few things, and now we are much better prepared than last time. So we got all the necessary tools to extract the calf and also lift the cow up and help her with leg problems and all that. So this time there was no need to call the veterinarian, but instead I called the older Juan, who lives close by, and he was able to come and assist me, and together we got the problem solved. I caught the cow by using my lasso skills. I am practicing, it's not perfect. And then we tied her down and put her on her side, and Juan used the tool to extract the calf. Of course, I had to assist, so there is no video of this, but you can see the result. So here is the little one. In some cases, the mother cow refuses to provide milk during the first few hours. And when that happens, and the young one does not drink any fresh milk from the mother, even providing artificial milk, the formula, will not help. The calf is lacking some bacteria and other things that are in that milk and will not survive, regardless of the effort you do. So Juan is milking the mother cow, so that we have a sample of her milk. He will keep this in the refrigerator for a little while until we have seen with our own eyes that mother and calf are well and the calf is drinking milk from the mother. Then we untied the mother and stepped away to see what will happen. And see, she's coming back and she starts to clean the calf. And it looks all very good. So this is how a successful bird, with some help, looks like. What Juan holds in his left hand is the tool to extract the calves. She is calling the calf, which is also a very good sign. Very soon the calf will stand up and go for the milk. This is the swale in what we call our area CT2, and we had this problem that there was only a dribble of rain and in general a very difficult situation here in Spain. So what you see there is what has been left from the previous rain event, and it's now, I think, 2 days that we got a little bit of more rain, but it was not very much, so almost not measurable. So that's a good thing that we are still keeping some water there. And this morning we decided to make some rain, so we have our big water pipe that goes all the way from the creek at the entrance to the farm, the outflow of the water reservoir, all the way to the very top. It's about 1.8 kilometers of pipe, and we opened this pipe and let the pump transfer the water from the shallow well next to the creek up to here. So here we have it. That is what the pump was able to move so far. I have no idea how much has sunk into the soil, and this is still open, so tomorrow this will continue, and then we will see how much water we can put into the swale. The idea is that the swale will then let the water go to the lower part here, and that is where we want to seed something now going forward. So instead of being sorry, we are trying to play it safe and basically fill it up with what we have. In any case, the water will return to that creek because it goes downhill from here. So this looks nice. We are starting to fill this, and tomorrow, given that there will be sun, and there will be sun but no rain, we will get more of this. And it's actually flowing a little bit. So if you look here, you see it is flowing. So the pump down there might still be working. So let's go to where the pipe is. In less than an hour we have sunset. The panels that produce the energy for the pump start working at around 11:30 or 12, and they somehow manage to produce energy until very late. So yeah, see, we continue to pump water up here. So that is a very nice thing. It is working. So that means we can get something growing here on this berm. Well, of course it depends how much gets sucked upwards or how deep the roots are. But in any case, I do see some green coming up here. I will go to the other side and then maybe it is easier to see. So let's do that. So this is also the berm here in CT2 where we have the palovnia trees, but it's still too cold. So we had freezing temperatures this night, or the last night, so it is still too cold. Also during the day you have t-shirt weather and can run around in the sunshine and will sweat when you start doing physical work. So these trees, they will not start growing until it is consistently much warmer. But the interesting thing is that there is some green coming up on that berm. Maybe further ahead we can also see something of the broad beans, but I have a bad feeling that they have mostly died off due to the frost, but maybe not. We do have some bags of green manure seed that we want to put here, but we wanted to hold off until it is warmer, and we then want to seed it before the rain. So this was not the time just yet. So there is a little bit, but it's not the beans. Further ahead I have seen more. because some of you might remember that we also had a cow invasion here, because they managed to topple these wires, these posts, and the wires were on the ground, and then we had a cow trying to give birth right here. So it appears that they have nibbled and eaten all the upcoming bot beans. But that happens, and before the cows come back, hopefully we have a proper fence with some wire mesh and some distance insulators, so that nobody plays with the wire mesh. Because eventually this is going to be some sort of a garden here up on the sperm. Well, so there are some plants, some grasses, and let's see what that might be. Oh, it's not focusing on it. But there. Yeah, but it's not something very special. Since yesterday we are trying to move water from the outflow of the water reservoir, that creek at the entrance of our land, up to this swale here, just to store it somehow, whether in the swale or in the soil below. Of course, some of it will also flow down. So this is now basically the second day, and it has filled up a little bit more. So I will check this now every day to see how it fills up and how well the well down there is holding up. We know from summer that we cannot pump out endlessly, but we're not in summer yet, and that is why we are doing this. And so maybe we can manage to redirect a lot of water to the swale. The bottom of the swale is not perfectly level, which is why there's a little bump here, but there is enough on that side that it will flow over this bump and fill up this side here. But that's okay. It is not to be completely even, as long as in general it's more or less on contour, which it is. Whenever a car shows up, they expect to be brought alfalfa pellets. They are sweet. And that is what I want. And now they will be disappointed, because I don't have any. They have gotten their ration. So I would assume, if it were for them, they would eat that all day long. They can be pretty vocal. This here to the left is going to be an animal lane and also a lane for vehicles, but mostly it's going to be for animals, because we don't have any reason to drive down there frequently. So we just reserve this for the animals. And as this is still a temporary installation, we continue to put these wooden planks onto the trunks of the trees. And as you can see, this is just with this flexible baling wire. It's not really wire, it's more string. So when the tree in 100 years is much larger in diameter, this will be gone. And so therefore that's not a problem. And then we also have marked a little bit our temporary paddocks. There in the distance you can see something yellow. That is the name of the paddock. The cows are now in our 10th temporary paddock in this area here. We call it CT10, and I will now walk over there and show you a little bit how this looks now. In a previous video, or a few clips back, I was walking around there, so you can have an impression how it looked before grazing, and now I go there and show you how it looks during grazing. So for the time being, the animals will come along this way here, so behind me. This is where they come up from the lower parts of Zone C, and then they will continue in that direction that I'm moving in. And there ahead, there is a curve that goes to the left. At the moment, that is the entrance to this big paddock, and in the very near future that will be a lane, and then we have a door that leads, or many gates actually, that leads to all the different paddocks when we make them smaller. So right now they are very huge. I have not measured them, but as you know, the target size is 5,000 square meters. And when this has become a lane with a fence on both sides, then there will be gates that lead into all the different smaller paddocks, left and right. We have put this temporary fence in such a way that the aromatic plants are on one side and the other areas where there is some grass is on the other. And there's also another consideration. Spain does have this problem with tuberculosis in bovines, and here in Andalusia the map that shows occurrences of tuberculosis for Andalusia is red, while in the northern areas of Spain it is green, free of tuberculosis. So we are in a area with a higher risk, and therefore for the time being we don't want the animals to go down there, because down there it is pretty much a wild and untouched area, and that is where the wildlife is also passing through. So we rather separate our bovines from any wildlife in order to avoid transmission. And that is also one of the reasons why we won't have any animal waterer or something else up here that would then help with the transmission. So it is better that the animals walk down to the compound and get their drink there, instead of the wildlife drinking from the same source. And for example here, this needs to be a little bit lower because there is space underneath and they might try to lift it up. So in a few minutes there will be a fence post that will lower these poly wires. And as you could see, even this is difficult in this type of ground. Elsewhere you can simply stick them in, but here you have to use a few tricks and be careful in order not to break this plastic fence post. Not so easy. More obstacles than elsewhere. Obviously they first went for the green grass. It's almost gone. And after that they will continue to be fed alfalfa pellets and the straw for volume. That is why we distributed the remaining bales here in this area. And hopefully when they are done with those, we can bring them into our zone A, where paddocks are coming online basically. So they are then ready for grazing, at least according to our application, but that does not mean that in reality they actually are. The cold and lack of rain has not helped the grass growth, so we will see. And if they are not ready, then we use bed areas like the one here in front to continue feeding them straw and alfalfa pellets until the grass is ready to be grazed. And of course we have these young oak trees here. I said this before, and the idea is to protect them by not letting the animals be in this area for long. Of course they will nibble a little bit on them, but so does the wildlife. And these trees have been here for at least 10 years, and somehow they continue to grow. So instead of putting a wire mesh around each individual, we just manage the access to the area where they are, and that should do it. This is what we have in this area. It is really poor, so we have those stones as in many other cases, and then we have some grass here, but it's very fine grass, so this is not really forage. It is I would say in between moss and grass. So it is some ground cover, but it does not grow tall nor thick. So this is not helpful from the perspective of a grazing animal, I would think. And then we have a few patches like this, where something that is more like forage is growing, and hopefully the animals help us to have more of that. And now you might wonder how the animals help us. So here is the answer. This is how they help us. This might not be the perfect cow paddy, because their diet is not the perfect one just yet. But in there are nutrients, and there's also bacteria from other places where the soil is a little bit better. There might also be seeds in there, and the animals create and distribute this material, and then this should help the soil to improve, and eventually we have soil that is better suitable to more advanced plants, and either they show up or we bring in the seed in a later stage.
Pensamos para allá, dice.
¿Sí?
Pensamos para allá, ¿no?
Sí.
That was it for today. Please enjoy the sunset and come back in a couple of days for another episode. Thank you for watching.